This old world may be sleeping, but we have been dreaming of a brighter day. Some of us keeping our minds on the reason. Beautiful season is coming our way. Today could be the day. Hey, little flower, you got the power to push through green blankets. You're ready to grow. Hey there, sweet bluebird, tell me what you heard. I want to sing that great song that you know. Wake from your slumber and try to remember a time when we all were together as one. A new day is coming, yes, there will be sunshine. Wipe away teardrops, springtime will come. It's been so lonely, but that was only our chance to realize the love that we need. Come, take my hand now, let's make a plan how to stay wide awake. Let's fly, you and me, away. Wake from your slumber and try to remember a time when we all were together as one. A new day has come, tell me you feel the sun. Wipe away teardrops, springtime has come. I'm wide awake now.
Welcome. My name is Joan Urban, and I'm so happy that you are joining us for worship, wherever you may be. We are an inclusive congregation that welcomes you as you are, inclusive of all your identities, complexities, and situations. We welcome your whole self, even if it isn't fully assembled, because we recognize that we are all a work in progress and that we are all in this together. This morning, we are happy to include worship elements from the UU Ministry for Earth from their Spring for Change service. And now, for the opening affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, for these high purposes do we unite in worship. The chalice lighting is coming up, and I have some words from Connie Simon, slightly altered. Spirit of light, help us to see and encourage the light that shines from each of us. Guide our actions and temper our words so that we may kindle and not smother that flame in those we encounter today and every day.
Hello, I'm the Reverend Elizabeth Mount, and I'm here to tell you about the sweet story of a honeybee. So on a bright and beautiful day in the land of might have been, where the land sings and the animals talk just as plain as you and me, a young honeybee was just waking up from their sleep Now this honeybee was a drone. As you might know already, there are in a honeybee hive just one queen of the hive, several consorts of the queen, and many, many drones who are the workers of the hive. Well, this young drone, appropriately named Beatrice, had just grown up enough to take their first flight out of the hive to begin harvesting the nectar and the pollen that bees need in order to feed themselves and make honey to store for their winter food. Beatrice was so excited about their first flight and just buzzed off to begin gathering nectar, coming back as fast as they could fly with a full tiny basket of pollen and all the nectar it was possible to carry. Again and again, Beatrice zipped off to fill up and zoomed back like the tiniest little superhero, just swooshing and swishing through the air. By mid-afternoon, Beatrice was very tired from all of this zipping and zooming about, and not a little cranky, too. It had only been one day, but bees don't live very long. And, well, Beatrice was concerned at how small the pile of pollen was, how very little nectar she seemed to have gathered for the hive. Beatrice stopped to rest for a moment near an elder drone by the name of Abigail. One drop, and not even a big drop, Beatrice pouted. Yes, one small sweet drop, Abigail replied, but in a much different tone of voice. Yes, it looks small, and in your entire life, you'll probably gather no more than enough nectar for 1/12 of 1 teaspoon of honey. Then why even bother? Asked Beatrice. It doesn't seem like I make much of any difference at all. Well, said Abigail, if we all gave up, then what would happen? Well, I guess there wouldn't be any more honey or pollen, and then the queen would stop having babies, and the young would stop being fed, and the colony might die off. That's right, said Abigail. You only make a small bit of honey, but that small amount, and my small amount, and all of our drone comrades together, we make as much as 6 or 10 gallons of honey every year. So much that without tending from a beekeeper, we could fill up a hollow tree or a vacant hive, and we'd have to move on every couple of seasons. It turns out that everyone's small effort is the only way to sweet success for this hive and for all honeybees. Wow, said Beatrice. I guess I'd better get back to doing my part. Well, said Abigail, that's not quite right either. Rest for a moment and gather yourself. Make sure you're fed and well before you go back out there. You see, everyone's effort is necessary, but it also matters that you're well nourished and sustained and that you have fun. Don't just gather the pollen as fast as you can. Stop to smell the flowers too. You'll be happier, and the whole hive will benefit from it because you'll be part of a whole community that's healthy and well. Oh, said Beatrice. But don't we need to get as much honey as possible for the winter? Abigail paused a moment, because this was a tender lesson to impart. The answer is yes, and really, said Abigail. The truth is that honeybees only live for a few weeks, and neither you nor I will perhaps ever see the winter time. But what we gather and how we choose to be in this time, that will leave a legacy for the future, and we'll teach the bees who come after us how to be a bee. And with that, Beatrice understood, and Bee and Abby shared a tiny cup of tea, sweetened with an even tinier drop of honey. And they watched the wind and the sunshine play over the flowers before going back to work, a bit wiser and better for their conversation. I hope this story makes you feel a little wiser and better and more ready to be a part of your community of resilience. Blessed be.
Our congregation has a mission. Please join me in saying these words together. Our spiritual community lives courage, nurtures wonder, inspires justice, and includes all.
At this time in our service, we lift up the joys and concerns of our community. This is a candle of concern for all of the families in Texas raising trans children. Right now, the Texas legislature is considering passing a law that would require the families to either deny their children's identity or leave the state. If passed, this legislation will harm our children and families. May this candle bring courage to our legislators. This is a candle of celebration for the accomplishments of Jace, who participates in a choir which took first place in a recent competition. Congratulations, you did hard work and it paid off. This is a candle of joy and care for John Hintz, who recently had rotator cuff surgery. He's home, he's doing well, our thoughts are with him. And this is a candle for my own mother, who recently had hip replacement surgery, and she is doing wonderfully well. Finally, this is a candle for all the joys and concerns which were not shared, yet are felt keenly in our hearts. And now, let us take a moment to follow our breath into those places we might have rushed over all week. With each breath in, I invite you to go deeper and find that part of your own center that needs attention. Breathing in, breathing out. This moment is this moment is this moment. And in this moment, I will become a part of this moment, with all of the other parts of this moment. We will become this moment together. And in this moment of becoming, something will shift and some things will settle. And in this moment of becoming, some things will perish and some things will arise. And in this moment of becoming, the entire universe will ask you to be present. But for this moment of becoming, all you must do is be present and breathe. Breathing in, breathing out. Blessed be. Amen. And everything that was a problem before is now being revealed in stark clarity. We're seeing more clearly the places in the larger world where inequity and injustice were making it hard for people to survive. We're seeing more clearly in our relationships how truly we need one another and need to respect one another in order to survive. What are we seeing? What is being revealed in this congregation? What are we seeing that make it difficult to survive? I've been with y'all for nearly 4 years now. Here's what I'm seeing. There is, and there has been for a while, even before I arrived, an existential struggle between what this place was and what it is becoming. It's an uncomfortable struggle, but it is a normal part of the labor pains, the growing pains of a congregation. This might happen many times in the life of a living congregation, but it only happens once or twice in a dying congregation. The worship theme for the month of April is becoming. And I love this theme because it bumps us out of some of the old theologies and into new ones, and this is okay. The old theologies from which American Unitarianism arose out of and rebelled against was full-strength Calvinism. And when the Unitarians rebelled against it, they chose to keep the covenantal tradition, but they let go of that Trinitarian concept that made Jesus more than human. And they remade God as just one, and that's why we are called Unitarians. But even those 19th century heretics had a really hard time shaking out that old Calvinist preoccupation with seeking salvation by doing good. In time, the Universalists, realizing universal salvation, don't have to struggle quite the same, and with folks like the Transcendentalists like Thoreau, or later Karl Barth, the theologian, suggesting that maybe the more important work was simply being good. That working at being your very best was one's most profound action in this world. I admit, for someone who's hell-bent on doing good out in the world, it can feel very hard, agonizing, to consider that what is most important is to sit still and focus on one's self first. Me, I cast my net off the edge of the boat chartered by the 20th century process and relational theologians who nudge us into recognizing that our being is also our becoming. However, I recognize that boat ride leaves some people queasy with uncertainty, so let's go get back onto more solid ground. Solid ground like our history. Our tradition as a religious liberal movement was born of change. So we're okay with change. We expect that as we experience more, as we learn more, as we question more, that we must and will change. We'll change as individuals, as a community, as a society. Why should our congregations be any different? Everything else in the world changes. For over a year now, we've had to make some changes in how we function as a congregation. Changes that none of us could have predicted and none of us really thought was our very best way of being together or even becoming together. And after a year of waving at each other from 6 feet apart or waving at the tiny little screen boxes, we might be having a hard time even conceiving that we are a we. And that brings us back to the struggles that were happening even before the pandemic. Because those labor pains, those growing pains, they might have stalled for a while, but they never went away. Labor pains, growing pains only stop after the delivery, the birth, or the growth has happened. And now, as we are able to see ahead to a time when returning to worship in person, we can see once again and begin to feel the spasms, the sharp pains that are the promise of something new arriving, something new becoming. So let's take this time maybe to ask some questions, some big, bold questions. Here are 3 you can start with. 1. Why does this fellowship exist? 2. Is this a place with windows or mirrors? 3. What are we becoming? That first question, why does this fellowship exist? Well, partly it's because of the vision of people who came long before, and partly it is because of the work of people right now. But that why gets us down to the existential why. Why is this place necessary? Why is it needed? Second question, is this a place with windows or mirrors? Meaning, is it a place where people come only to be expected to look only outwards? Or if they come, they are expected to only look at their own reflections. One of the dangers of only looking outwards is that you might never stop to reflect upon your own assumptions and biases. One of the dangers of only looking at one's reflection is that you will struggle to understand difference. Finally, that last question, what are we becoming? That is a question loaded with pain and possibility. Pain because life feeds upon life, and change always means loss. To fulfill the promise of this place, it will have to stop being the place that was needed before in order to become the place that is needed now. And there will be grief for the loss of what was, but let us also lift up the joy for the wonderful ways this place met what was needed before. And that joy should encourage you, should literally give you courage to meet the needs of this moment. These questions, for me, spark wishes. My wish for this place is that it becomes the congregation that Amarillo needs, a place of courage, curiosity, love. Amarillo has a lot of congregations, and many of them are surprisingly liberal. Just being a place of liberal religious expression is no longer enough. By becoming not just the only Unitarian Universalist fellowship, but becoming the best possible Unitarian Universalist fellowship in town, well, you will get closer to fulfilling your mission. Your mission to live courage, nurture wonder, inspire justice, and include all. In this, by grounding one another in our liberal religious practices that recognize the spark of the divine in all, and where we express the faith that we have in each other and in this world. Let this be a place where people commit to doing the hard and courageous work of becoming their best selves first, so that in time the rest of the world will be transformed. My wish for this place is that it become a place where people learn to live well and die well. By die well, I mean a place where people take up the years-long work of becoming the elders who lead by example, who encourage those who come along behind, and who leave this place stronger for future generations. So that when we die, we leave behind legacies of courage, curiosity, love. My wish for this place is that it become a place where people of all ages grow well and wise together. Through their sorrows and celebrations, sharing their vulnerabilities and convictions, so that we might become stronger in our love of this world and of one another, as we are and as we are becoming. May it be so. Blessed be.
The reading this morning comes from a book written by the Dalai Lama. It is entitled, How to See Yourself as You Really Are. He talks about the roots of love and compassion in this passage. True love and compassion rise on the basis of respecting others. This feeling of empathy is achieved by recognizing that you and all others, whether friends, enemies, or neutral parties, share a central aspiration by wanting happiness and not wanting suffering, even if you view happiness and suffering differently. Also, it helps to be aware that over the course of countless lifetimes, everyone at some time has been your mother and your closest friend. At this time in our service, the congregation makes its financial offering. If you have made a pledge or would like to make a contribution, you can simply mail it in to our office, or you can make it online through our YouTube landing page or on our website, uuamarillo.org. On the home page, in the upper right corner, you will find a blue donate button that will take you to a place where you can donate securely through PayPal. If you have made a financial pledge for this year, please keep up your pledge. And now for the extinguishing of our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
May the fellowship of this hour touch and move our lives until we come again together.
All living substance, all substance of energy, being, and purpose are united and share the same destiny.
All people, those we love and those we know not of, are united and share the same destiny.
Birth to death, we share this unity with the sun, earth,
Our brothers and sisters, strangers,
flowers of the field, snowflakes, volcanoes, and moonbeams.
birth, life, death, unknown, known, unknown.
Our destiny, from unknown to unknown.
May we have the faith to accept this mystery and build upon its everlasting truth. Amen. Amin. Akshay. Go in peace.